So we're here with Coach Harvey and Coach Green, and the first question that we wanted to generate or ask is, what benefit do you feel programs such as this will have for young people across the country, and how do you think it changes how basketball is viewed, not only in this country, but I guess in this country as compared to around the world?
When you get to work with someone of the caliber of Dr. Harvey, it's a great privilege. He's worked with WNBA players, he's worked with NBA players. He studied the shot. He's the master of the shot. He's the shot doctor. So when you have a shooting camp, it's obviously a privilege to work with someone of that caliber who has that much knowledge on the topic that they're teaching. Because now you're ensured that the girls or guys are getting the proper information. And the way the camp is set up, it teaches you the fundamentals. He explains in detail all of his theories and all of the reasonings, the functions, the motions behind the shot. And it allows the girls to buy in because they are working with someone of the caliber of Dr. Harvey. The fact that they're now getting the tools to utilize on their own and improve on their own, I think that's the key. A lot of times coaching is just for the moment, and they throw girls in games and everything is just about going up and down. And now once the athlete leaves that setting, they don't know how to work on it on their own. And Coach Harvey is providing those tools for them to build that foundation, because that's the time you're going to improve off season, when you're on your own working, when you're in the gym by yourself, when you're in the gym with that one-on-one tutelage. You can't improve in a game, so you have to prove on your own. And a program like this gives these athletes those type of materials so they can do that.
Well, what I would say to that question is a follow up from him. Thank you for those kind words. But everybody wants power, in everything that you do in life. And so, how do you get power? See, power comes from information, and information turns into knowledge. And so, you can't have power without information and knowledge. You can't have power without learning and practicing something. See, and so when I'm dealing with kids, what I want them to have is the information, so when they leave my program, they can go and work on that information. And in my program, I kind of do it like this. I call it IMI, okay? And that means information, motivation, and inspiration, okay? And that's what I did with this group. Information is all the stuff that I've studied over the 30-something years. See, so I have the right information, and I have the proper information for them to get better. I know that, Number two, motivation. And I think as you guys watch the camps, when you have a group, you can't motivate one way. You got to find different ways that fit everybody. And that's what you saw me do the whole time. I'm trying to find a way to motivate everybody in the group, Inspiration comes from the different stories. You ever notice that all this week I gave them stories about another player and how they did it, So to have those inspirational stories from years and years, that's the buy-in that you get from players. Unfortunately, today in basketball, sometimes they need proof in order to believe. That's unfortunate. But the reason for that is because the game has changed so much, and you don't have to study shooting anymore. You can just go on YouTube and get somebody's opinion. See, when I came up, I literally had to study not only the shot, but how it works and how does it relate to teaching. The different learning styles, the different personalities. Who are you teaching? I had to do all that.
Thinking about today's AAU programs, and thinking about how some of those programs function, and the vast differences between a typical summer or off season that our young athletes will generally participate in, as compared to this experience. I see differences, but I would be interested in knowing how you both may see the differences in a typical AAU program that most kids participate in versus a program such as this one, which I feel is far more skills based
Mhm.
and less about the winning.
I coached one AAU team, you know, and I only coached them 1 year. Well, I actually coached them 2 years, but the difference in that team, and that team beat every team in the United States from California to New York. They beat everybody. And so for the first 3 months in the program, we trained. Okay, after school, they get out of school, we come in train. We had a training place. The second 3 months, we would bring in players, you know, that I had trained that were in high school, and they would kind of scrimmage and practice against these players. And with these players, train with these players, now these players got a chance to see what I'm trying to teach them, see? And then the last 3 months, you know, now we would go and scrimmage other teams, you know? When AAU came, now we had shooting, everybody could shoot, everybody could dribble, everybody could pass, see? So there was no one that could beat us, only because, you know, you couldn't stop all 5 shooters on the floor. And there were teams 3 times as better. I thought we were probably the 13th best talented team in the tournament. There were 64 teams, you know? So I didn't think we were the best. But together, as skill-wise and everything, we were the best. So my answer to that is development. If the AAU programs would take AAU and do it like that, make it year-round, it would be no different than FIBA. See, the difference in FIBA is they're going to train. They're going to learn how to do things. And in our programs, they're going to play. They're going to learn how to play. Now, you know, do you get something out of that? Yeah, you're going to get something out of that. But the question is, what are you going to get out of it? See, you're going to make the kids more assertive. But if you think about it now, I'm on a college level, and what we see when we have players come in, they're more assertive. That's all. See? So they don't have the 3 essentials. They're just more assertive. But if we take programs and focus more on development rather than play, you know, nothing wrong with play. But you know, the kids are not making the grade, so to speak. You know.
A program like this, and you look at today's AAU program, is night and day. For AAU, for the most part anyway, kids are there to play. So during practice, you're going over your plays. You're going up and down, you're scrimmaging, you're running just to play. There's no development. So the kids with the most talent, those are the ones who win the tournaments. Those are the ones that you see in the pool championships. So, and not only do you have one talented kid, because of the rules of AAU, now they've scouted and they've collected talented kids from all over, and they come to form one team or one super team. So these are the teams that you see in AAU who are in your pool championships, but it's just developed to go up and down just to play. So at the beginning of an AAU season, 9 times out of 10, the kids who are on these teams who won championships, they still have the same skills and they still have the same shortcomings that they had at the beginning of the season. Whereas this type of program is about development. That's not to say AAU is all bad, because obviously you're getting exposure. There's a lot of college coaches, and that's what AAU is about, to help kids get to that next level when you talk about going from high school to college. But the downside of that, again, is there's no development there. It's all about just playing and all about winning for the most part. So when you try to compare it to a program like this, it's night and day.
AAU is not the problem. See, AAU is strategically designed for kids to play actually during the summer. So AAU is not what makes kids play year-round. See, so I mean, I know the chairman. I've talked with those guys. And I work with those guys, and we've talked about this. But it's the guys that want to put on tournaments, and that's the problem right there. All the tournaments. So it's not necessarily AAU, but it's under AAU's umbrella. So everybody blames AAU. We've been experimenting with a thought process. It's called the new norm. If I would take my kid and work my kid out more, and and let my kids play with the high school teams, or an AAU program that plays limited amount of games, then my kid would get the workout. So if you can develop an AAU program that stays away from all the tournaments, because if you're trying to get to college, what are you playing so much for? See? And when you get to college, just think, we're teaching kids how to shoot on the college level. The number one skill in the game of basketball, we're teaching on the college level. Look at any roster in the NCAA, and there's probably 1, 2, or 3 names you can't pronounce. Well, that's because we couldn't find a shooter or a fundamental player in the United States. Well, if our AAU system is so good, why can't we find players? Why can't we find fundamental players that have the 3 essentials? So you shouldn't have to go overseas to find those players. But it's not necessarily AAU.